think no one loves to do a website relaunch. Like it's always out of necessity. You're losing like almost everyone at that point already.
SPAs or something with JS, something what you can build quicker for less resource. Many of those were not built in the right way, and they turned into a limitation for the organic growth, for the paid growth as well.
You don't know if the new copy is going to land. You don't know if that new design is going to function well. If someone decides not to go for that, what are the most common mistakes you see people initiating that whole process?
That's a very good question. So you need to really...
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Revenue Marketing Real Talk, another English one, as we have Sasha back on the pod. Welcome back, Sasha. Good to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And you brought an exciting topic that we're going to focus on today, which is website relaunches. So this is like a huge, big, scary monster for a lot of people, I feel like. It's this thing that I think lives in the back of your head for a very long time, and you know you need to do it. And then at some point, the pressure and maybe also just the performance of the current, obviously, disregarded website is getting so high that you need to change something. And then you try to make a big splash and update everything and get better SEO on it and get better copy on it and get better design on it. And it's getting this huge project and it blows really up. And there's certainly some pitfalls along the way during that process. And I think we want to shed some light today on what exactly those are and how you can prepare the best for those. And maybe we can also share some experiences with clients, because I'm sure, especially for you, having like a very strong background in tech SEO, it's a common challenge you deal with, right?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, when you were saying that it's such a big project and everything, and it leads to XYZ, the thoughts that I had in my head were sort of the opposite, because from my experience, being in the front line, managing those migrations, I feel like they are often so underestimated.
Mm-hmm.
People tend to forget about all of those XYZ elements of that, or they put way too many elements inside of it, and then it turns out into some monster project.
Yes.
For several reasons. Either it's a monster project because it's huge and then it takes 2 years to complete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, migrations take time.
Oh my Lord.
Or they turn into monster projects because you need to fix so many things after that. So yeah, I'm happy that we are diving into the topic, and hopefully this will help a lot of people understand better whether they actually need to do this relaunch or any kind of other migration, and whether there are the right reasons for that, or maybe it's just fine to stay with what you are, because you can still work with that a lot. So yeah, let's dive into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those topics no one loves to do. I think no one loves to do a website relaunch. Like it's always out of necessity, and you need to do it because it's obviously the website is one of the most important assets you have, right? Everything, like most of the paid ads, most of the organic traffic, all the digital channels, everyone that even like engages with someone in a conversation and then they check you out, like it all comes down to the website in the end. So it's so important to have it always reflect the status quo of the company and be like really polished. What are some of the signals you would point towards that someone can say, now it's time for me to think about maybe a migration or a relaunch? What are the things you'd point to that someone shouldn't ignore anymore, this topic?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question, and I'm happy we're starting with it. So you need to really relate your migration to the business goals. And obviously, as you're working on the website, you already more or less know what is the status quo. Is your website actually contributing to your business goals? If it's not, what are the reasons for that? And those can be very, very different. That can be quality of content. Then migration maybe is not a thing for you. Maybe you need to look into the content manager or content strategy and focus on that. But what often happens is there is a tech stack limitation that is slowing down the growth. That's what I see very often. So there was this wave of migrations like several years ago of relaunches, so to say, like everybody changed those websites from looking like they are from 2000s to something more modern. And a lot of people try to find the ways to build it cheaper. So they went into like cheaper solutions like SPAs or something with JS, something what you can build quicker for less resource. And then many of those were not built in the right way, and they turned into a limitation for the organic growth, for the paid growth as well.
So there's long website loading speeds, for example, right? It's like a very common thing, I feel like. Very easy to understand. Someone takes 3 seconds to get to see what you have to say on the website. You're losing like almost everyone at that point already.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. And it's something what you can still deal with if you have a good content. But another thing is what is working on the background, which is pretty much JavaScript. That's what I'm actually working on with one of my clients right now. So we started the project around 2 years ago. The website is big. When I did my technical audit, what I saw is that search engines pretty much cannot see the content, because all of the content is produced on the client side. It means that when search engines are entering it, they cannot see the content until everything loads and so on. So it takes a lot of time for search engines and now also AI agents to consume that content, to understand all of the connections, and then serve it to the people in the right way. So every time we were making some changes on the website, it took us around 2 months for Google to pick it up properly. And then it was too late because it's a very, very competitive market, and we were pretty much losing. So that is another big reason.
So high latency on the changes being reflected also in results on the organic side.
Yeah.
That's a big one, I feel like, because it also limits your time to learning, right?
Yeah.
Kind of want to explore what works, how's the space shaping, and then it feels like you are always working with the brakes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the similar cases, actually Workist, one of our clients, where they had this JS-based website, which was still fine because Google could see the content. Yet when we migrated for different reasons, we saw that a huge spike in impressions, better rankings, even though the content hasn't really changed. So what it showed us is that actually, despite all of these justifications that search engines are good with JavaScript and so on, it still takes them time to put all of the ends together and serve the content better.
Let's say it's not favorable.
Yeah. And now actually with the AI agents, I think it's especially important to have the right tag, because those are not too good with JavaScript. Those are better with static HTML content, so they can read it, understand, and put the connections together, entities and everything. So now I think as the trend is going towards more of this AI researches, it's even more important to have the right tag, so you show up there in the right way.
What does right tag look like in reality? Is there any like CMS you can recommend based on them having like a very good tech foundation, or what is like, when are you like really, what tech are you really happy to see when a new client is coming?
So classical tag, like actually I would say that you can manage any kind of tag as long as you build it in the SEO friendly way. It means that you need to have certain tags there that search engines or AI agents are good to read, that they know what it means. So it will be about the head of the page, the body of the page. They need to be reflected in the HTML properly. Then they need to ensure that the right elements are there. So those are engines are also reading it correctly. Then that you need to place images in the right tags, and then the right source to the image, so it can be also rendered correctly. Another thing would be headlines. The structure should be there. The headlines should be wrapped in the correct HTML, so H1, H2, and so on. Another thing would be links. Links are super important because that's how the crawlers work. They follow the links and then they discover all of this content and so on. So I see there is a big popularity for patterns in our space. Yes, but those should look like buttons, but it should be on the background prepared as links. So they should be wrapped in the A, and they should have href attribute inside, and then engines can follow these links properly. So we have like a set of criteria that a JavaScript friendly website should meet, and then there shouldn't be that much of a problem. Another thing I think that is important to mention is server-side rendering. That will always help. If the website is rendered on the client side, it's always slower. There are always more risks that something will not get populated properly, that you will have this longer time to value, time to learning, and so on.
Is that a decision you're doing on a hosting end?
It's a dev decision, yeah. They sort this all out, but I can check though how the content is rendered from my end. It's up to them to decide. There can be also dynamic. It's already pretty technical, but I would say if you drop this keyword to the devs, okay, server-side rendering is important for me. They will know.
Yeah.
It can cost you more money, so that's important to highlight here as well. But there are some compromises, so it's always important that the important content is there.
Yeah, but it's not going to be huge, right? Well, is it going to be a lot more? Like, is it an actual like big investment we're looking at here? Going server side, or is this very varying based on the size of the website? Like,
I think it's varying. I'm not really deep into this topic. Like
pricing, for most marketing budgets, it should be very well within. I feel like because it's not like it won't cost you like 5 figures probably doing that.
Maybe if you have a huge website, maybe for e-commerce it matters, But
probably. But there's still, I feel like it's good to see that you can mold a lot of tech stacks into the kind of way that helps you with organic growth, but still trying to get to some unaffiliated recommendations from you, like what makes life easier also managing the tech side of things.
What do you mean?
Like what kind of tech? Is there any like CMS that you would recommend or also not recommend? Things that make life harder? I feel like working with different tech stacks can be more or less annoying also and difficult to shape these things.
So I cannot say that I'm absolutely against something right now. So we work with WordPress a lot. We work with Webflow. It's becoming extremely popular.
Yes. What about headless, like Storyblock?
Yeah, this is also something what I see more often happening in the space. People are moving to that. That actually requires a lot more of dev resource. So you need to be aware of that.
Okay.
I would say that do what fits to your business, what you can afford, because all of those also have different pricings. You need to assess like what is the what you can afford, if you have somebody to maintain all of the infrastructure and so on. So I think Webflow is more or less the easiest because you can manage a lot of things on your own. I don't like Wix that much, but
that seems more like a basic for like getting set up fast.
Yeah.
At least that's also how they do their marketing. It's more like for the freelancer, maybe the small team, getting their website up and running fast in a functional way. Although I think they're doing some work to improve also for like get more favored in the SEO community. Is what I see. That's interesting. So good luck to that.
I actually would like to add one more thing.
Yeah, please.
There are a lot of new CMSs right now, and they are becoming more popular because they are cheaper, they are easier to maintain, they are more
customizable.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the word. They are more customizable and easier for the marketing teams to use. That is all fine. You can just go for that, but you really need to be aware that there can be some limitations with those. So what happened with one of our clients is that they migrated to CMS called Data, and turned out later on as we migrated that it was not possible to set up to have the same URL setup as we used to have. So they were forced to move to the subdomain, and that matters. So you need to ensure that you can preserve the settings that you have, so you don't lose what you were building over years.
Yeah, so you should definitely get some consultation there on if you want to move CMS, right? Where you move in, where you're coming from. Does that make sense? I feel like I not just go blindly or purely judge the decision you're taking based on the brand you like, for example. I think that's important. And then some of the most popular ones are there for a reason, like Webflow, Storyblock. They all make sense, can get the job done. And going back to like reasons to initiate a website relaunch, definitely like slow websites, so that's bad user experience. And also just like, I think you described it very well, this the slow time to adapt, to pick for search engines, for example, to pick up changes can be a huge indicator. It can slow you down. I feel like also one thing I would add more from a customer-centric perspective is that you do get hopefully feedback, or you should get feedback like from your customers and or also prospects, and just ask them like, how's this resonating? How's the website resonating with you? And we recently had a case where I talked to someone who just did like a huge website relaunch, and they did it because they increasingly heard from customers that the copy would alienate them. So they don't really know what they're doing, or they feel like it's a different solution from what they're actually offering, and it just causes confusion. So that's a lot on the copy side, and it can also spill over onto the design side. Although I think especially there, it's so important to work very close to the customers, because especially with design, it feels like everyone has their opinion, and just doing like a relaunch because you need like new colors, or you need like something changed based on the CEO not liking the website, the look and feel of it, that can be very dangerous as well. Because, and this is one of the few big challenges I feel like with website relaunches, is it's just very tough to manage this process of recreating all the new things, like new tech stack, new copy, new design, and then ensuring that you end up at a better place. Like you might improve things to the point where they get worse also. You don't know if the new copy is going to land. You don't know if that new design is going to function well. I feel like what you can control though is more of the technical aspects, that's faster, and that is more adaptable for organic growth. So I feel like that's a very good foundational trigger there for a website relaunch. If someone decides not to go for that, what do you think? What are the most common mistakes you see people initiating that whole process?
So as you said, like somebody is not liking just pieces of the website and then decides to
Just opinion,
yeah.
doing it based on opinions,
yeah, personal opinions. The other thing would be, I think, a common pitfall of the new CMOs or the new head of marketings. They join the team, they look at the website. Oh, it looks a little bit old fashioned. I don't like it. Let me rebuild the whole thing. And then they start their job with this huge project, super costly, super resource intensive. And then they don't plan it well because they don't know business well enough yet. And then it all ends up being a monster project. And then, they can even get fired because of that. So that would be a pitfall, in my opinion. Another thing, not having a clear goal. What is your goal with this migration? What is your goal with this relaunch? What do you want to achieve? And based on that, you can also define what are the main prerequisites for your migration. So you can think, okay, we get rid of this part of the website because we don't actually need it. It's not serving our goal. That's absolutely fine. And then you can also say, but we need to improve this part of the website. And then that's when you also involve your marketing team, SEO, because as you said earlier, it can go really wrong, and you cannot really expect how the copy will resonate or how the new designs will resonate. But the copy you can also control. You can involve the SEO to do the right research for you there. to create a new landing page structure, for example, while your marketing team is talking to sales, talking to customers, and tries to analyze what is working, what is not. So you can consider all of that during the rebuild. That would be something important also. To have. Another thing when you don't go for migration is when you don't have resources and you don't understand the timeline of migration. So migration is a costly project, and it requires project manager in the best case, developer, SEO, somebody from the marketing team or like other POC, then stakeholders that are involved is already at least 5 people, then somebody who will test everything. So quality assurance at 6 people at least that you
a
need.
little bit of UX would be good as well, I think.
Designer.
And then, yeah, exactly. It depends also on how big of a relaunch, how big you want to go, right? I feel like the smaller you can do it, or the more iterative you can do it, maybe just launching the technical side of things, of course, then might be still need design, right? You still need to adjust and all that stuff, but maybe not changing all the copy as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Also, another horror story I had was client doing it all, right? Copy, design, technical foundation, changing it all at the same time. They worked like 3 months like crazy. Whole team consumed all the capacity of that team, of that internal team for the website relaunch. They really celebrated. And once it got live, and then people realized within 1 week, now the work starts. They were so relieved. There was this big moment of, oh my God, we made it. And all the performance crashed. Like, and I'm not just talking like website metrics, which are like dwell time or time on site. I'm really talking also pipeline. I'm talking traffic, like all of the critical metrics going the wrong way. And now you have this huge beast and you don't know where to start changing again. And it becomes almost like a political thing where you invested so much of your social capital into that website relaunch you just talked about, especially if you're new to that role. It will be a very tough message to come across and be like, hey, we need to reverse a lot of the stuff we're doing because we frankly don't know where it broke. And then you start searching for maybe even other reasons that are, it becomes this elephant in the room almost, the website at that point. And I feel like that is something that is then a point where sometimes people reach out to us and be like, hey, we got this huge fire. Can you can you help us with it? And that's exactly the wrong timing, right? Would be the best timing to involve also the experts, like the SEOs, before the relaunch, of course, not afterwards. How difficult is it to change something that's messed up during the launch? Maybe there was like limited SEO resources during migration. How difficult is to clean it up?
Actually, had a case
that comes from deep inside you. I can feel it.
Yeah, I actually had a case last summer. So the client onboarded, and they didn't tell us that there was a migration during the sales process. But the moment I got my hands on Google Search Console, I was like, oh no, oh my God. They wanted to do all of this great stuff, content. We just want content. We need to improve. We need to enable sales. And I'm like, what do you want to enable if like it just all pure mess? We need to start with the foundations. And it really depends on the case. So we always start with an audit of the website at the beginning, and technical audit is part of that. And the bigger the website, the more of the pitfalls there can be. So typically what I see that people just removing a piece of website and think that's just fine. But what about redirects? You need to redirect everything what you remove to the relevant page, not the home page.
That's a common one. That's a common one,
Yeah.
Also creating a lot of dead links, right?
Yes.
All everywhere on the website, because that part of the website, I mean, hopefully it was integrated somewhere in the bigger picture, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing people think is just fine is changing the URLs. And oh my God, like you cannot just change the URL. So it's like the basic of the basics. Whenever you change the URL, it means it's fresh new for Google. So all of the backlinks you have to there, all of the internal links you have to there, everything will be treated as new for Google. And people do it very, very often. And that's the biggest mess that I sometimes have to deal with. I saw in one case, actually, there was a client had all of the URLs in German, and then they just decided to change them to English to have them unified. And then I'm sitting and like mapping what is in German can mean in English, and then you need to redirect all of that. And there were 16,000 of those.
Yeah.
It's a pain. So it really depends on the migration case, but I really like prioritization. So it's super important to prioritize what really matters for the business goals. And typically we start with the core of the website, which is money making, which is contributing to the pipeline. That can be a marketing website. So your landing pages, product descriptions, like your homepage, that can be super important. Sometimes it's also bits of blog, which has the commercial intent, which contributes to the pipeline. We knew that it has generated some leads, but it stopped for some reason. So we need to look at that. And then build the picture around everything to set up the good foundation. So sometimes this project can take a while. They can take 3 months, they can take 6 months, but it means that we prioritize what really matters. We also work on the content at the same time, and then we sort it out slowly but steadily.
Interesting. Connecting it to this time of learning concept I found interesting is that then in order to even assess whether you fixed a situation after something is broken, that will take, I think, more time than most people realize, because the feedback loop is so distorted or like stretched, right? So you're not getting any instant feedback, maybe for some of the things, but for the real like performance and like rankings and stuff, it's very tough. And sometimes it also behaves in ways you cannot really explain. At least I cannot explain, where it's like something that was, even if you fix the situation and you improve maybe the loading times to a state that they were in before the website broke for a period, you still don't get the results back, and you start going into this mode of trying to look for now various other reasons why performance is dipping, that you start not being able to put your finger on, because in the end it's a complex system and there's always a variable in there that you cannot fully control, which is the algorithm, right?
Yes.
So this makes it really a lot of exploitative work almost. And it's not like, oh, we did a mistake on URLs, now we're just going to revert that and now everything is fixed. And I think that is a danger a lot of people don't see, and they go a little bit naive into the relaunch, thinking that, well, if something breaks, they will just fix it and everything will be fine. Sometimes those situations are unrecoverable, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. I think it's really connected to reliance on developers. So very often when somebody is searching for the relaunch developer, the developer offers some basic SEO. They do. Yes, they know some foundations. They likely know how to write a good code, but they don't know all of those little details that you need to know when you're launching a website. When you're protecting your staging from indexation. I don't know how many times I joined the migration, and I saw that staging website is just indexed. Exactly same.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that's basically duplicate content, right? It's basically the same website. Yeah, the testing version of that website being like publicly available.
Yeah, and then the marketing team is wondering, where are my leads going to? They don't have the analytics for this. They don't have the HubSpot set up for this.
Forms are broken.
Website,
no automations in place.
Yeah, and then the leads are going somewhere.
True.
So over reliance on the dev expertise can really harm the whole migration project. I think the most common things that I see after the relaunch is half of the website is no indexed. That is like crucial, because you launch a new website and then you immediately tell Google take out most of the website from the index. That's really harmful, especially in the first hours after migration. That's where search engines really reevaluating, crawling a lot, understanding everything new. You send a lot of signals that please do it, and then you also tell, okay, no index, all of this.
So the crawl behavior, Google does pick up on these things like, oh, there's actually like a bunch of stuff happening on the
Yeah.
website. Crawl behavior increase, so Google revisits that site more frequently than it usually does in order to assess what's changing and how significant that is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And actually, you mentioned the core updates before. I think it's like the best thing that can happen to you and the worst thing that can happen to you. The best when you actually do it right and you manage to optimize some things, do it well with a strategy behind, then the core update can really boost everything what you've done. We see it actually with Workis. That was like a very nice curve up. And it can also go the other way around, where you migrated and the core update is happening, and you did not consider a lot of things during the relaunch. And for example, what started happening with the last 3 updates is intent changes. So when something was more informational in Google, it turned commercial, or the other way around. But you did not meet all of this change. We didn't consider it when you were doing your relaunch project, and you're focused on this relaunch project. And then what happens is like you deep because everything has changed.
Yeah.
You did not address that with your website copy, and you're still busy with your migration. What do I prioritize? Do I hotfix this? Do I hotfix that? That can hurt
like a
lot.
magnifying glass. It exposes the work you've done before in a positive or negative way, right? It's the watering of the garden, and then you see if there's a lot of good plants or plants you didn't want to have there in the first place as well. We get stronger too. Interesting. I feel that listening to all of this, a key change in mindset that needs to happen regarding migration, but also it kind of extends to website management, it's one of the key assets you have in your business. And people really start realizing when stuff goes wrong, and all of a sudden the visibility they have built up over years, and they've maybe also didn't know the exact impact on, once it drops significantly, you can see it also translating to a drop in pipeline maybe, and that can be a good thing for the business because it can show you the value of what you have built up and where you need to go in order to replicate that value. And a lot of people, I think, they don't know why they have 10 inbound requests a day and not 20 and not 5. Like there's a lot of uncertainty still, a lot of lack of clarity, and that can really bring some clarity as long as you can, again, count on good people to fix the situation for you, hopefully sooner than later. But again, going back to the mindset shift, I think it needs to be from static to ongoing. So don't build up all this website debt, I'm going to name it, which is like copy that, design that, and done. Content and technical debt, but try to re-engage with the website on all of the different fronts regularly. Like try changing the copy on the homepage if you have significant traffic to that page. Once in a while, try change it once a month, twice a month, see what it does, see the impact, start generating those learnings. Don't wait for a huge update to do all of it. Do it constantly, and then maybe you can also not have this backdrop of you told me like it sometimes takes like over a year to fully process a migration. Maybe you can reduce that a little bit by keeping a constant eye on performance and then just making the right decisions once you make that technical switch, maybe from one CMS to another, or maybe even like a server-side topic, right? I feel like that's the biggest thing you can do. So making sure you don't neglect it for so long. And then when it comes up, all these problems popping up.
Yeah, absolutely. SEO is a constant work. So maybe if we relate it to the paid search, it's not that you use the same landing page all the time. You create other things. You adapt the landing page, you see how it performs, and then you try to add new elements there or change this sign up button to the form. So you make those tests, and it's the same with the actual organic website. You need to see different options that you have, and you need to test those in order to make your own learnings and understand what really works for your users.
Yeah.
User interviews can really help here, also giving you very valuable insights on what you can directly improve on your website. Maybe like have 2-3 interviews, you will definitely see some patterns already, and then you can freely go and test it out on your website, and you don't need the migration for that.
Yeah, ICP interviews are so powerful, indeed. People rarely do them. I feel like most internal marketing teams struggle with finding time to do that. Maybe they don't feel in the position, because marketing is so isolated a lot of the times, right?
Yeah.
It's like they don't really have connections to clients. Maybe on the event side, sometimes, but usually it's sales that talks a lot to the actual clients, to the actual customers. Yeah, and I feel like any good marketing leader should have a process for that in place to make sure you're going close to the market, staying close, staying in touch with the people who end up buying from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because only when you're on this front line, you actually understand what are their problems. You are supposed, as a marketer, to communicate with your solutions to those problems with the mean of your website. It sounded complicated. So, but basically, the website is your mean to communicate with your clients. And if you don't know what are their problems, that what kind of content are you created by your gut feeling or by what everybody else is doing, that's probably not the right approach.
Yeah, I think one thing everyone can do if you schedule those interviews is, I would really recommend either for the whole marketing team or even for the whole company, just invite a client to like an all hands or make like a public interview, right? You can stage it a little bit. You can prepare the client, the customer with questions, right? Make sure they feel comfortable, but that will have a good effect on everyone getting more content as to what they work for. And even in more like abstract situations like a website relaunch, that can really make the difference in the end, from creating like creating something in your head and thinking it will work, and creating something that's close to the mindset and the attitude of your actual customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I see where it's coming from.
Yeah, we try to do that ourselves, and it's a really good experience, I feel like. And I've heard also other people doing it. So it's really, really good. And I feel like it's what in the end matters the most. It's just staying, especially in a world where everything's changing so fast and everything's so dynamic, staying close to customer is the best thing you can do, because you realize the changes in their attitude and their challenges the fastest that way.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that's a good way to close this. Thank you, Sasha, for being here once more. Really enjoyed the conversation with you today. And if any of you at home want to have more deep dives, go check out LinkedIn, Sasha's LinkedIn channel. I wanted to say, where she regularly posts really, really good stuff. And if you like this episode, please feel free, of course, to also leave feedback in terms of rating, hopefully 5 stars. And looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Ciao.